Well, good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana weather. Sorry for the long delay in getting one of these video updates back out. The weather's been pretty quiet since we had our severe weather roll through, goodness, on Halloween, I suppose. And it's been not really much to talk about since then, and I've been busy, but we're starting to pick back up in some things to talk about in the long range. So, and if you've looked at my Facebook page, you'll notice I put a snowfall accumulation map for the first time out in a while, and the models are actually hinting that we could see the potential of a snowfall on Tuesday. And so I want to sort of go through the data with you and show you what the models are seeing now. I will say that the models have been showing this now for about two to 3 days, but I have not shown anything because really that far out it's just speculation. It's speculation this far out too, if we're truthful about it. But we're in the unique scenario where all three models that we look at, the major ones, are actually lining up. So let me show you that. The first thing I want to look at is our GFS. This is our surface map, and you've seen these before. Here we are. Pretty close to where we are at now. If we put this into motion, not much to talk about. A little system passes up here to our north over the weekend, and but really we're left with mostly sunny skies Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all three, and then partly cloudy on Monday before the big event starts happening on Tuesday. So that little system passes up to our north. But notice the high pressure that's large in charge over a weekend starts retreating out to the coast over here. A strong high pressure builds in, and by the way, this is just an impressive high pressure. You notice it says 1042, that's 1042 millibars, and that's, if you know anything about pressure systems, that's ridiculously high. That's a lot of sinking air, and that's going to be a pump for cold Canadian air to be shown into the region. The other thing that we want to note here is notice this little narrow band right up here stretching from a low up in here and then moving back sort of about like this. This is a little cold front that's going to be coming through, and right behind it with this high pressure, this is going to pump in some very cold air, and that's going to be sort of a game changer for us next week as far as temperatures go, which we'll get into that. We're talking probably some upper 20s potentially for the first time in the area, and maybe even some teens as far as central and northern Indiana are concerned. So we're talking some extremely cold weather that's going to be moving in with this. But notice how this little band, at least on the GFS, moves in, and we'll take it from here forward in motion a little bit of time. Starts off as all rain for us, but it will transition to snow in this model. Let me back this up here. You notice this first blue line right here. This is another thing that I should point out. This first blue line, you've seen this before. It's called the 540 thickness line, and essentially you don't need to understand all the technical terms, but here's what you just basically need to know about that. Anything north of that line is snow. Anything south of that first blue line, that 540 thickness line, is rain. And so notice that here we are, maybe a few showers moving into the area first. That 540 line is not over us yet, but it's headed our way. And finally, as the afternoon goes on, it comes well past us, and we transition to an all snow event according to this models. And no, it does not look impressive because it is really just some light gray, and light gray, of course, you say, well, look, that's only, a few hundredths of an inch of precipitation, but understand that this is liquid precipitation. You have to translate that into snow, which is at least a 10-to-1 ratio, and sometimes if it's a light fluffy snow, it could be 15 to 17 to 1 or even greater depending on how cold the atmosphere is. So a hundredth of an inch of liquid precipitation could easily be an inch of snow on a 10-to-1 ratio quickly. So this is going to be, according to the GFS, a little bit of snow for us. Now let's take a look at the GEM, because the GEM is in kind of a similar vein. Notice it's a little bit more aggressive with the precipitation, but at this time, here we are at 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning. That rain-snow changeover line is a little bit further to our north than what it is with the Euro, and then it finally moves through us. And as it moves through us, we get a lot more of that cold weather advecting, cold temperatures advecting down here. I'm kind of losing my train of thought. But nonetheless, the GEM, just the main thing to note here is that it is a very similar setup to what the GFS is, and this would bring us some snow as well. Now the Euro model is a little bit different. We would definitely want to take a look at the Euro model. Let me just back this up a little bit. Here we are Monday at 7 p.m. and you notice you've got. So here we are on, sorry about that, I had to pause the video there for a second for something. Here we are on Monday at 7 p.m. and you notice that front just a little bit to our north. The purple line on this is the rain-snow changeover line on this. For some reason, the way this does it. Usually it's blue. This one happens to be purple, but just kind of note that. And as we put this into motion, you notice here we are at 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning, and we start out with a little bit of rain, but it'll quickly change over to an all-snow scenario during the afternoon time with the Euro as well. But then I want you to notice what the Euro does. It starts to put a sort of a little kink in the system down here, and it actually develops a surface low off of this front that moves up. And then notice how that surface low wants to track up the east coast and then become sort of a major nor'easter with this. Now, I will admit I'm a little bit skeptical of this, but we will have to watch to see whether this has any legitimacy or not. If it does and it tracks a little bit closer to us, we could be looking at some additional decent snowfall accumulations, but not at the particular time being. Now, if we take a look at our teleconnections, we can get an idea of whether or not I believe this could be true or not. And here's the reason why. In order for this to be true, we've got to have a blocking pattern out here over the coast of Greenland. Otherwise, it's going to take it out to sea, because if I just put the GFS into motion a little bit, you see what they do with this. And the GFS just takes the whole system out to sea rather than taking it up the coast. And let's see which one's right. Is it going to go off the coast, or is it going to be a system that develops into a major blizzard for New England? Well, the teleconnections can sort of help us with this. And what we want to take a look at is the North Atlantic Oscillation, because that indicates where the blocking pattern is going to be. And remember, if the NAO is negative, that's a strong blocking pattern, and it gives some credence to the Euro model, sending it up the coast. If it's a positive pattern, no, it's probably going to go out to sea or neutral. It's got to be a strong negative. And what you find here is it's trending negative eventually, but when we're taking a look at it here on the 12th and 13th, it's pretty strongly positive. So I do have to admit that I'm a little bit skeptical of the Euros, the way they're trying to do this. And that was what the GFS is predicting it to do. If you go down to what the Euro model is predicting it to do, again, the same thing. Even the Euro model agrees that it's going to be positive. So I have a little bit of a hard time believing the Euro's solution on this, and but we'll just have to see. Things could change. But for right now, I kind of tend to agree more with the GFS and the Canadians' solution. And I do believe this will be a fairly minor event. But let's take a look at far as accumulations of what we can expect as far as what the models are going. What I want to do here real quick is just take you through 2 days worth of model runs. And I'll show you, this is a perfect illustration of why I haven't mentioned it until this point. Because models will flip-flop back and forth all the time, and this is just to be expected. So here we are, the oldest model run I've got available to show you here. This would be the 7 p.m. model run from 2 evenings ago, and you see no snow here in most of southern Indiana according to this map, and just a little bit there. But as we switch these and we start to go in with model runs, here we come with the 1 a.m. model run after that, and then here we come finally with the 7 a.m. model run the next morning, and it's an all-out snowstorm for central and northern Indiana. By the time you take that into the 1 p.m. model run, it's still pretty decent. Boom, look at the 7 p.m. model run from last night. All-out snowstorm here really for the Appalachian Mountain region out in here, and even fairly significant 2 to 5 inch accumulations out in parts of our neck of the woods as well. And sometimes you see this and you're like, whoa, snowstorm. Well, put the brakes on it, hold the phone, Mabel, because this may or may not happen. And really, like I said, this far out, it is pure speculation. Let's show you as we step in time. This was the 7 p.m. model run last night. Take a look at one run later at 1 a.m. Gone. Virtually nothing, in pockets of nothing showing up. And then finally you come here. Well, not finally, I've got some more to show you. Here's the 7 a.m. model run for this morning. Again, very light. And finally you come to the 1 p.m. model run this afternoon, which is the last model run that I have available here. And you notice, again, very light accumulations with this. So if you believe what the GFS is trending towards at the moment, probably maybe a dusting to an inch of accumulation right now. And of course, that's a far cry from this, where it was just last night, where we're talking 2 to 4. So just be aware that these snow maps are going to bounce back and forth all over the place in coming days. And one model run may be exactly like this, where you end up with 2 to 4, 5 inches or more. And the next model run may say a dusting to an inch. And they're going to flip-flop back and forth until we get this thing really, and until it gets closer in time and we get this system a better handle on it. The models sometimes just don't do well in the long range for that. So as we put this, let me just go back here. I want to show you the Euro snow accumulations as well, just to give a bit of a different. And this is the Euro's snowfall accumulations from this morning, the latest run that we have. And you notice again, very minor accumulations, maybe a dusting to an inch or so around here. So that's lining up well with the GFS. But man, notice this big plume of an all-out blizzard that it brings for parts of the Appalachian region into the northeast. And that's because of that nor'easter that it wants to develop and then move up the coast like this, in this fashion. And of course you didn't see that with the GFS, because the GFS doesn't develop the nor'easter. The GFS instead takes the low pressure out to sea. And so there's a big difference in snowfall accumulations because of that. One thing interesting to note with the GFS is the past couple of runs it's done the same thing, but this was the 7 p.m. run last night, and then if you compare that to the run from this morning, you notice it's moving more west. So that's a trend that we're going to have to watch closely, and we'll see what it does. Again, I'm not putting a whole lot of credence into that yet. The teleconnections, the blocking pattern just doesn't seem to be there. We'll see whether that develops or not, but I'm a bit skeptical of that. And as it stands right now, I think a dusting to an inch is around here is much more reasonable, and I'm not sure an all-out blizzard would come through here. Maybe a few inches, but certainly not 10, 15, 20 or more inches as what this is saying. If you go to the Canadian model quickly, just to show you this, again, a dusting to an inch to even parts of us having nothing around. So again, wide model variance. So now let's talk real quickly before we stop here about temperatures, because that's going to be a big time factor as well. And if you go to southernIndianaweather.com, you look at the updated forecast again. Nice sunshine for us and pretty cool over the weekend. It starts to cloud up a little bit on Monday, but again, I'm looking for falling temperatures on Tuesday. 37 for a high, but that's going to occur pretty much midday, and it's going to fall through the day. And what I'm officially predicting is cloudy with rain showers changing to snow showers for right now. And again, Wednesday stays pretty cool as well. We may see some additional flurries with that. Thursday warms up a little bit, but not much. Let's take a look at what the GFS model is saying as far as temperature spreads here, because this will help us get an idea of what type of weather we can expect to deal with. And let's just go out to our time frame here on Tuesday at 7 a.m. Okay, so here we are Tuesday at 7 a.m. And sorry about that, folks. My kindergartner came to ask me a question, so I had to pause the video. So didn't figure you'd want to see that interaction. But here we are Tuesday at 7 a.m. and you notice pretty cold weather to start out the day, 33 degrees. So yeah, that's above freezing, and that would be a warming rain, yes, and it warms up to 38 here by 1 in the afternoon, but then you put it forward in time and you notice, boom, down to 30. So our temperatures will fall through the afternoon, and certainly that gives credence to a little bit of things sticking. Again, with the temperatures already being so warm from this weekend and a little bit of warm temperatures there, it doesn't give me a whole lot of reason to think that this will stick into a big accumulation, but we'll see. And at any rate, if you go forward in time a little bit, it stays cold for a little while, but by the time Thursday comes, you're back to the mid to upper 40s. So anything that does happen to fall is not going to stick around for a while. Finally, just real quick, Super Typhoon Haiyan hitting the Philippines right now. It is the strongest landfalling tropical typhoon that has ever been recorded in recorded history. And notice this is out to mainland China. And remember the typhoon rule, 6 to 10 days. If it recurves past Alaska, we get trough and cooler weather, but the typhoon rule also says if 6 to 10 days after it doesn't recurve, it moves on land into Asia, we get a warming trend. So really, if you figure that out, about the 16th to the 20th, we could be looking at a potential warm-up again. So something to watch. This is a monster storm and will certainly interact with the jet stream in a big way. So we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll have more updates on this to come. For Southern Indiana weather, I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite. Have a great day, folks. Keep it right here.